Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on an absolutely gorgeous Friday. Just could not be any more beautiful. The sky is bright blue, not a cloud anywhere. The world is still spongy and green from a recent soaking of rain that we had that was much needed. The temperature was cool in the morning and has just warmed up to being perfect weather for sitting on the fainting couch or even a little bit of walking around. I have been under the weather for the last few days. I didn't make any videos yesterday. And the day before that, I was reduced to making videos in bed. But recently, I felt the tiniest inch of extra energy, the tiniest bit of recovery. So, of course, I've done exactly what you would expect an irresponsible 8-year-old to do. I have overdone it by making a ton of videos for you. I am not exerting myself, but still, I imagine I'm going to get yelled at on Voxer for a few people, probably justified, but I miss talking to my imaginary BookTube friends, and we don't do that many mail hauls anymore. So I thought we'd go through this one, which is smooth sailing until the end. The end of this mail haul, I strongly suspect, has violations of rule number 1. Rule number 1 on this channel is don't send me a book. It seems the most natural thing in the world to send me a book, since all I do is read and write about what I read, and all I talk about on this channel is books. Nevertheless, don't send me a book. I have a lot of books, I read a lot of books, so I know what I want. And I want what I know. So the chances that you would find a book, pick it at random, and mail it to me, and that it would be something that I would want, are infinitesimal. And if it fails, you've gone to the bother of mailing something and the expense of mailing something, and I'm stuck with the thing you've sent, which the reason that I suspect these are violations of rule number 1 is because it's been a while since I harped on rule number 1, and there are new people finding this channel all the time. So maybe someone sent me something, or multiple somethings, without knowing rule number 1. Rule number 1 is don't send me a book. If you are dead set on sending me a book, then if you're dead set on giving me something, then feel free to avail yourself of any other option that's available. I have a Patreon, poor little struggling Patreon. If you feel like giving me a gift, you can certainly find that and pledge $1 a month or something like that. Or the route that most people take, you can call in-store credit to the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston. We did a Brattle book haul just the other day. I go there all the time. That credit will not be wasted. It will get me exactly what I want, and you'll get a video out of it. So there are those options, rather than you going to the bother of going to the post office, standing in line, and sending me something. And just as a small parenthetical, if any of you out there are tempted to parrot imbecilic talking points from a few weeks ago and say that me telling you that if you feel like calling in store credit to the Brattle Bookshop, you can go right ahead, and if you don't, that's fine with me. If any of you out there hear that and are tempted to say that is me monetizing my channel, kindly zip it. If you feel like uttering such an absolutely boneheaded idea, keep it to yourself. Utter it to your cat. Don't tell it to me. But I don't think most of you think that. So, nevertheless, I'll save the rest of the scolding in case I'm right. I think I am. The last few packages here seem like they come from people, not from publishers. But first, we have some publisher stuff. So let's see what that is. What we have to deal with here. Make sure I'm not throwing away anything I need here. What have we got here? Oh, you're kidding me. Oh my. Okay, this comes out in mid-October. I did not know this was coming. I don't want to block the baby. But this is Random. It's a novel by Penn Jillette. Who knew that he wrote novels? I have an absolute book of information here. Let's see if we can find just a book description here. Now, baby, where are you? I don't want to block you, baby girl. How are you doing? Oh, so pretty. You are. You're so pretty. Baby. Oh, we went on a wonderful walk this morning. There's a pair of dogs in our neighborhood. They're adorable. They're not young anymore. They're not really old, but they're not young anymore, and they have clearly lived with each other for their whole lives. One is a tiny little dachshund mix, shorter at the shoulder than Frida is, and a yapper. He likes to yap when he's around somebody new. He likes to make sure. And the other one is an old beagle. Those of you who are new to the channel might not know that for most of my life has been characterized by crowds of beagles. Not just one or two usually, but bunches of them. And they are, I don't think I'm ever going to have a beagle again, but they have a special place in my heart, putting it mildly. And I'm very happy that Frida just gets along with these two. She doesn't. Sometimes she can be very stiff and bossy. Sometimes she demands obeisance and whatnot. But generally speaking, the older a dog is, the less she wants that. And these two, she's perfectly fine. She doesn't know how to make friends with dogs. She's stiff and pompous, but she's not a friendly dog with them. But she's not unfriendly with them. They don't care about her. Once they realize she's not a threat, they don't care about her. So they were smooching with me, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. Now, baby, don't start licking. All right. So what have we got here? 2 weeks before his 21st birthday, Las Vegas native Bobby Ingersoll finds out he's inherited a crushing gambling debt from his scumbag father. The debt is owed to an even scummier bag named Fraser Rupert, who oversees his bottom-rung criminal empire from the classy adjacent Trump International Hotel. Bobby's prospects of paying off the note, which come due the day he turns 21, are about as dim as the sign on the hotel's facade. Bobby does not consign his big break to a higher power. 2 weeks pass in the blink of a snake eye, but before Bobby's luck runs out, he stumbles upon enough cash to pay off Rupert and change his family's fortune. More importantly, he finds himself with a new, for lack of a better word, faith. Penn Jillette is famously an atheist. Bobby does not consign his big break to a higher power, what Penn Jillette hero ever could. Instead, he devises and devotes himself to random, with a capital R. A philosophy where his life choices are based entirely on the roll of his lucky dice. What follows is a rollicking exploration into not so much what defines us as what divines us, when we give over every decision from what to eat, to whom to marry, to how and when to die, to the random fall of 2 numbered cubes. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Penn Jillette has ever written a novel. Any of you know? Frida, settle down, baby. You're going nuts back there. But this comes out in mid-October, so I will read it soon. We're in mid-September, so it'll be soon. Let's see this next one here. A novel by Penn Jillette. Okay. I love my job. I never know what I'm going to get. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I think we might have seen this on this channel. This is late September that this comes out. This is by Kieran Ennis, and it's called Leech. How's that for a cover? Is this horror? In an isolated chateau as far north as north goes, the Baron's doctor has died. The doctor's replacement has a mystery to solve, discovering how the Institute lost track of one of its many bodies. For hundreds of years, the Interprovincial Medical Institute has grown by taking root in young minds and shaping them into doctors, replacing every human practitioner of medicine. So, the practitioners the minds that they shape are not human anymore? They're replacing every human practitioner of medicine. The Institute is here to help humanity, to cure and to cut, to cradle and protect the species from the apocalyptic horrors their ancestors unleashed. In the frozen north, the Institute's body will discover a competitor for its rung at the top of the evolutionary ladder. A parasite is spreading through the Baron's castle, already a dark pit of secrets, lies, violence, and fear. The two will make war on the battlefield of the body. Whichever wins, humanity will lose again. So the Institute must be a kind of parasite on its own? It's not human. It's a collective entity of its own? Okay, well, who is this author? It sounds like horror. Who is this author? Kieran Ennis is a writer, musician, and student of medicine based in the Pacific Northwest. Their area... Okay, their area of interest includes infectious disease, pathology, and anti-capitalist healthcare reform. Here's hoping that here in Ennis is not an actual medical student. Because that there's some mythology entering into this author bio. When they're not hunched over, he's an individual person. He's not a they. He's an individual person. When they're not hunched over a microscope or a Word document, they can be found playing in the snow or playing the harp, though usually not at the same time. They're queer in every sense of the word, but not the made-up senses. Not the made-up senses, not non-binary. So not the made-up senses, you're a man or a woman. They're queer in every sense of the word, and they really want to pet your dog. Okay. Well, you won me over in that last one. You pulled out of my nosedive with that last one. Okay. Yeah, they really want to pet your dog. Okay. And this is here in Ennis's first novel. This is the debut. I have to admit, it sounds really good. And it comes out in late September. So if I read this tonight, I think I want to read this tonight. I'm intrigued enough. If I read this tonight, then just on practical terms, I have to figure out what to do in the review. What to do in the review. I am perfectly willing to read this author's debut novel. I'll praise it to the skies if it's really good. I love the line about wanting to pet my dog. But I am not going to call this author Napoleon Bonaparte because they stick their hands in their breast pocket and say that they are. The author is either male or female. I'm not going to use a plural pronoun as some sort of alien pod race pronoun in my review. So I will just have to, if I want to sing the praises of the book, I will have to write my review in such a way as that I simply don't refer to the author, which can be done, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird to do. It's just, I am perfectly happy to read this book and help the author's career if the book is really good, especially you all. You all know how much I love debut fiction. But I'm not going to advance someone's Twitter political cause, whether it's a cause I agree with or a cause I don't agree with. I'm not going to be co-opted. I don't have to be co-opted to read your book or to review your book. I would hope. We shall see. It's the kinds of 20th century problems that I did not foresee just a few years ago. So let's see what this next one is. This did sound good, and I don't know if this is intentional, but it looks like it's upside down. I don't know if maybe that's just to creep me out, or was the dust jacket put on accidentally? I don't know. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, okay, we saw this already. This is the finished copy of something that we've seen already. This is The Genesis of Misery by Neon Yang. Oh no, don't tell me. Do I remember that this is another person claiming to be non-binary? Oh God, is that true? Yes, that is. God help us, this is another they, them. But it's a free country. I can refer to you any way I want, especially since. Anyway, let's just talk about the book. Not descend into Twitter politics. We'll just talk about the book. The author of the acclaimed fantasy novellas of the Tensorate series. Did any of you read these novellas? The Tensorate series? Neon Yang introduces an immersive, electrifying space fantasy for this full-length novel. I wonder if this is the first full-length novel. The Genesis of Misery twists together magical powers, high-tech space battles, religious saints, and political machinations in a truly fantastical tale starring a queer and diverse array of pilots, princesses, and prophetic heirs. Are all of the villains in the book straight? Are all of the villains in the book straight? I haven't read it. I've had the advanced copy, but I haven't read it. I'm genuinely asking. If the answer to that question is yes, you're a bigot. I don't care how many pronouns you have. So, two wrongs don't make a right. There is no right way to be a bigot. But anyway, this is the story of Misery no Maki, a nobody from a nowhere mining planet. Misery has abilities that they shouldn't have. The main character is also non-binary. They can bend the will of stone, a dangerous magic that only saints are said to have. These abilities lead Misery to the center of the empire, where rumors spread that Misery is the next Messiah, and where those in power seek to use Misery to win a terrible war. Okay. Well, this comes out also at the end of September, and like I said, I have the advance copy, and I haven't touched it, and that's not good. That's another thing that I use mail for, is to sort of kick in the behind to get on it. So these will all be they will disrupt my TBR for the weekend. So let's do this third envelope here, and really hope for just an ordinary pub sheet instead of this performative 21st century Twitter gender 3-card Monty. Let's just hope for an ordinary book. Okay. I'm automatically just looking straight at the author bio. That shouldn't be true. I shouldn't have to do that. Okay. The author of this book is a man who admits he's a man. Thank God. All right, so we're doing with a he here. This comes out in early October. I think we might have seen the advanced copy of this as well. This is by Thomas Ricks, and it is Waging a Good War, a military history of the civil rights movement, 1954 to 1968. What do we got here? Did we see this already? I can't remember if we did or not. With this book, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and best-selling author Thomas Ricks offers a fresh perspective on the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, highlighting the movement's unexpected commonalities with the kind of strategic and tactical thinking that makes for a successful military. Well, I mean, you had soldiers going at these protesters who just wanted to be treated. Well, anyway, Ricks provides a riveting look at what Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, and many other pivotal but less familiar figures did, and how and when it led them to success. Surveying key factors emphasized by movement leaders themselves, recruitment, training, planning, logistics, and communication, and taking a long view of history, Ricks shows that behind renowned victories were years of careful thought and training and a militant commitment to nonviolence. Okay, I wonder what kind of a role Malcolm X plays in this. Exploring key moments such as the Freedom Rides and the March on Washington, and hubs of resistance such as Montgomery, Birmingham, and Selma, this book tells the history of the movement as a series of carefully planned and audacious campaigns that constantly challenged and fended off segregationist forces. While bringing legends such as Fannie Lou Hamer and John Lewis into new focus, Ricks also highlights lesser-known figures who played critical roles in fashioning nonviolence into an effective tool. Okay, all right, great. This comes out in early October. These are all wins for me. They're all things that I want to read right away. Waging a Good War. Wow. A military history of the civil rights movement, which was famously, heraldically non-military. Oh, that could be really good. That could be really good. Actually, all of these sound really good. And then we have the end of the mail haul, the 2 problem packages, I think. Now, it could be, I've got my scissors right here, it could be that these aren't problem packages, that somebody's just packaging them weird, that a publicist is just packaging them weird. We shall see. Let's do this first one. One of them is a box. Let's do this first one and see. Oh, it's disintegrating while I touch it. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. Oh. 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 Okay. I was right. It's from one of you, and there's a note saying happy reading. Oh. Okay, well, I stand by my original rant, but, oh. Oh my. I did not have this. Don't be encouraged. Don't send me a book. This is random, freakish chance. I did not have this, and I'm not giving it back. I very much want this. Oh, my. Oh, my. Thank you, the sender. Thank you very, very much. This is the... I don't think this is new. I think this is a couple of years old. I resisted ordering it because I thought I might get a copy in the mail from Houghton Mifflin, and I didn't. This is the Unfinished Tales of J.R.R. Tolkien in one of these deluxe editions. The noisiest street anywhere in the country has been extra noisy today, starting at 7:05 in the morning. this is the Unfinished Tales. In some of you may already be familiar with this from what their Silmarillion version looks like. And this is the Unfinished Tales. You've got the cloth bookmark. You've got original artwork all throughout here. Alan Lee does some of the artwork, but there's also artwork by John Howe and Ted Nasmith. I'll get you. There we go. Look at that. Oh my! Look at that. Let's do a couple more pieces of artwork just to show you. These are gleanings from the Tolkien Legendarium. They aren't as finished and polished as the Silmarillion. Very much a companion volume. There's. Look at that. Look at how lovely that is. Oh my. Oh my. All right. Well, I am sincerely hoping that. Oh, that's Alan Lee right there. I'm sincerely hoping that this did not cost the sender too much money. But I definitely want this. Oh my, I definitely do. I haven't read the Unfinished Tales in... look at that. It's even got black and white little spot illustrations there. I haven't read the Unfinished Tales in years and years and years. When did this... I wonder if this will actually tell me when this first came out. I read a little mass market paperback of this when it first came out. 1980. Looks like 1980. I think I read a little paperback in like the mid 80s or something like that. The Silmarillion is finished work. It's finished stories of varying length, but J.R.R. Tolkien, Christopher Tolkien, and Guy Gavriel Kay did a good job working the Silmarillion into a book. This is not that. These are longer tales, but also shorter tales, fragments, things like that. This will have a lot of annotation. Yes, this has a lot of annotation. Oh my god. All right, well, this has been on my mind. I have an ebook of the Unfinished Tales. Look at how lovely that is. I have an ebook of the Unfinished Tales, but I don't have... I realized as soon as I got the ebook that I don't have any print version. I don't have that little mass market. God knows where it is. And I don't have anything else. This was made into... Houghton Mifflin made this into hardcover with just a blank green cover. And there was an Unfinished Tales 2 as well. I don't think that's here. I don't think that this is that. Yeah, I don't think this is that. But I haven't read it since then. It's been decades since I read this. And it's been on my mind because of Amazon's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I am, against all of my better judgment, continuing to watch The Rings of Power. And it is howlingly awful. It's just howlingly bad. And that's been putting me in mind of all of the Tolkien Legendarium that isn't howlingly bad. And there's nothing that Amazon can do to hurt the enjoyment of these stories. So that is the Silmarillion, the Rings of Power and the Third Age at the end of the Lord of the Rings, the appendices to the Lord of the Rings, and the Unfinished Tales. And the only one of those things I didn't have was this. So thank you very much, the person who sent it. That is wonderful. This is not only a perfect example of when rule number 1 is not true, when I do want a book, but the ultimate, because this is going in the little book room. I'm going to reread it, in the upcoming week, but it's not going just anywhere. It'll go in the little book room right next to the companion volume of the Silmarillion, which looks a lot like this, and is also lavishly illustrated. Okay, so that was that was rule number 1. Rule number 1 still applies. This was just a weird, freakish exception of something that I actually do want. But rule number 1 still applies. And then we have a box. This has got to come from one of you because it's elaborately taped. So I'm gathering that it's either more than one book or... here, let me work on this while I natter at you. It's either more than one book, just a whole bunch of them sloughing around in here, or it's a bigger book. Like an oversized art book or something like that. There are a few of those I could see. I've had, over the years, I've had a number of you. There are a couple of Pern volumes like that. The Guide to Pern and the Atlas to Pern that are bigger and have lots of illustrations. A couple of you over the years have seen those at yard sales and wanted to send them to me. And I've had to say no. No thanks, I've had them, but I don't want them. Is there a note? Is there a note? Oh my god! Okay. All right, well, this technically isn't a violation of rule number one. Oh my God, I can't believe this. There is a note. I cannot believe this. Um, uh, recently, I did a video where I talked about the problems I've been having with my MacBook Air. Oh, the screen has been winking in and out of existence. You want to get down, baby? There you go. And that, do you want to get all the way down, baby? Oh, goodness. You're going to have to jump on that, aren't you? No? All right, just stay here then. I mentioned in a recent video that I was having problems with my MacBook and that I was looking at alternates, backups, Chromebooks, other MacBooks, and whatnot. You sent a MacBook. And the note says, heard you're having computer problems, reminded me that I meant to send you this. What have we got here? Okay, this is a MacBook. I'm guessing it's a MacBook Air. Yes, it is. This is an 11-inch MacBook Air. So I don't have one of these. I had one. It's seen better days, but it is clean upable. Looks like that's sticker residue and a little bit of a piece of schmutz there. But it's amazing how well these things clean up. You have to know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, you can clean them up. I'm sure that I can clean that up and buff out all of these smudges. I had an 11-inch MacBook Air for a while. It's a smaller form factor, so there's not much of a difference in the area of the keys, but it somehow still managed to feel a little small. And I ended up really liking it. The cloth keyboard that I have for my iPad is 11-inch or smaller, and I adapt to that just fine. I adapt right away to the smaller size, and I got rid of that 11-inch MacBook. I don't have it anymore. I gave it away to somebody. So now I have another one. Light as a feather, perfect for carrying in a bag or for toting from room to room. Okay. So it also was sent its old power cord. This is probably from, I wonder if it has any power. This is probably from 2015. Something like that. No, it doesn't look like it has any power. I'm going to need to charge it from scratch. Fantastic. Okay, well, the only problem with these sorts of things, I mean, there are two potential problems with this. Not I'm complaining. I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth at all. But the two potential problems with MacBooks are, number one, sometimes when you let them power down to complete zero, just a complete stop, no, not even a fraction of power left, they don't come back. Sometimes that happens. They don't come back. Or if they do come back, they need forever afterwards to be plugged in to a power cord nonstop. They won't work on a battery power at all. The battery just charges out. Sometimes that happens. That's a worry here. I will recharge this and hope for the best. And another worry, this thing is old. It's scuffed, sticker residue, that sort of thing. It could be that whoever out there said this, if you didn't get this new, if you got this used somehow and you've outgrown it, it could be sometimes that they are institutionally password protected, so that down deep in the roots of the thing, when I want to get in there and start mucking around with programs and whatnot, software, I can't. Because a block will pop up right away asking me for the institutional password, and I don't know it, and neither does anybody else. The original seller of the lot item may not have ever kept a record of it. So the chance of it being found is virtually non-existent. That's basically a piece of junk if you get something like that. So those are two worries. I could check both of them now if it had any power, but it doesn't. So I will power this up, and I will have to report back to you. So I'm not going to put that in the Steve pile. That is not a violation of rule number one. You are free to send me tech until the cows come home. I love tech. The older and sturdier, the better. My needs for tech are very minimal. Very minimal. I basically need it to be a word processor. So I'm basically looking for the platonically perfect typing experience. As long as it can generate documents and I can email them outside the machine, it's fine. I'm pretty sure that this can do this. I don't think there's any MacBook Air that's old enough so that it couldn't do that. It would just be a question of whether or not it actually works, whether or not it turns on, holds a battery charge, and whether or not I can mess around with it without a password. That's not rule number one. You're free to do that anytime you want. Rule number one was broken this time around, but in this case, I'm not giving it back. This is the Deluxe Unfinished Tales, which is a book that I did. The Silmarillion was different. I got that illustrated Silmarillion. I think that was a gift from one of you as well. And I have many, many copies of the Silmarillion. This I had none. This is my only physical copy of The Unfinished Tales. Then we have Waging a Good War by Thomas Ricks, about the quasi-military planning of the civil rights movement. We have The Genesis of Misery. Does the main character have Messiah-like abilities? Is the main character perhaps a Messiah? We have Leech, in which two weird, horrifying, non-human, parasitical, quasi-supernatural entities are vying for control of humanity. And as the pub sheet says, no matter who wins, humanity loses. And lastly, Random by Penn Jillette. A story about a guy who has a religious conversion, but it's not to a religion, it's to random chance. So, a very weird assortment of books in the mail, but at least it keeps us talking about the mail just a bit. That's great. The new books are all asking for my attention. All of them are. I have to admit, of all of them, Leech strikes me as the most promising. I mean, Waging a Good War will be interesting, but I've read a lot on the American Civil Rights Movement, so with fiction, you're sort of in new territory every time. At least you hope you are. But they're all easily within reading range, so I will start to slot them all into my docket. Then The Unfinished Tales, which also plays Bloody Hob with my immediate reading. It's a reread, and it's not necessary, so it should get lowest priority. But and a MacBook, complete with a power cord. So time to start playing around with that as well. Anyway, this video has gone on quite long enough, so I will wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.